it made explicit the healthy people pay and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay, just like the lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass. And, it's the second best argument. Look, I wish Mark was right. We can make it all transparent. But I'd rather have this law than not.
The law works. That's why we fought so hard to pass this law, to save folks like John money, to free families from the pervasive fear that one illness. There you go. You okay? I'm right here.
We've been trying to get into this site since October 1st, on and off again. I have to say it did work a lot more smoothly this morning. I got through, I picked my state, I put in all my information, and I got through the whole process in about 8 minutes. And then it said my progress, or my status was in progress. So I went to refresh it, and I got the error message.
Rough start. That could be the understatement of the year. It has been a complete disaster. We don't know how many people have enrolled. We can't even find anyone who's enrolled. The Miami Herald is now calling them urban legends.
Hey, do you have that Obamacare?
Obamacare? What's that? What's that?
Oh, it's great.
It's great?
It's great.
What is it?
I started signing up last Thursday, and I'm almost done. Maybe we should restart it. Obamacare by morning.
Mr. Park, do you agree that there is a difference between an innocent misstatement of a perceived fact and a deliberate attempt to deceive?
Yes.
So do I. When did you first realize that you couldn't keep your health insurance even if you did like it, period?
So, again, that's kind of a health policy matter. It's really outside my lane. So
you don't know when you first realized that you couldn't keep your health insurance even if you liked it, period?
I don't recall, no.
I'm going to read to you a quote from Secretary Sebelius. She said, and I'll paraphrase it initially, that she was hurried into producing a website by October the 1st because the law required it. Now, I'll read you the direct quote. In an ideal world, there would have been a lot more testing. We did not have the luxury of that with a law that said it's go time on October the 1st. Mr. Park, I don't know what ideal world she's referring to, so I'm just going to stick with the one we're in. What law was she referencing? What law required this website to launch on October the 1st?
I can't really speak for Secretary Sebelius.
I'm not asking you to speak for her. I'm asking you, what law was she referring to? Is there a law that required this website to launch on October the 1st?
Again, that's a health policy and legal matter. That's not really my...
It's actually a legal question. Do you know if there's a law that requires this website to launch on October the 1st, or do you know whether it was just an arbitrary date that the administration settled on?
I actually do not.
Would you find that to be important, whether or not we really had to go October the 1st, given the fact that we weren't ready to go on October the 1st? Would you find that relevant, whether or not we actually had to launch a substandard product?
Sir, respectfully, I'm just a technology guy trying to...
Don't short yourself. You're the smartest one in the room.
This is the part of the sign-up that is hidden. The applicant does not see this, but it is in the source code. And what that blue highlighted area that's been circled in red says is, you have no reasonable expectation of privacy regarding any communication or data transiting or stored on this information system. Now, Ms. Campbell and Mr. Slavitt, y'all both said that y'all were HIPAA compliant. How in the world can this be HIPAA compliant? Which HIPAA is designed to protect the patient's privacy, and this explicitly says in order to continue, you have to accept this condition that you have no privacy or no reasonable expectation of privacy.
So, sir, that would be the decision made by CMS.
So you're not, this is news to you?
I
You're the main prime contractor. You've never seen this before?
So that's not we are the prime, one of the prime contractors, yes.
Have you seen this before? Were you aware this was in the source code?
This requirement is...
Are you aware this was in the source code, yes or no?
Yes.
You were aware, okay. Do you think that's HIPAA compliant? How can that be? You know it's not HIPAA compliant. Admit it. You're under oath.
Sir, that is CMS's decision to make what.
I asked if you
public
thought
or
that.
not.
You just told Mrs. Blackburn that it was HIPAA compliant. You know that's not HIPAA compliant. You admit that you knew it was in there. It may be their decision to hide it, but you're the company, not you personally, but your company is the company that put this together. We're telling every American, including all my friends on the Democrat side, and they're huge privacy advocates. Diane DeGette is co-chairman of the Privacy Caucus with me. But you're telling every American, if you sign up for this or even attempt to, you have no reasonable expectation of privacy. That is a direct contradiction to HIPAA, and you know it. Yes or no?
Once again, CMS has us comply to a set of rules and regulations that they've established under our contract. And that is a CMS call. That is not a contractor call.
I mean, all you are is a contractor that spent $300 or $400 million.
No.
So it goes to some amorphous cloud, and then it comes back from down on high. Who wrote that?
I am not clear as to who wrote that.
Do you well, let me ask it this way: do you think that should be in the? Do you think that should be a requirement to sign up for Obamacare? That you give up any reasonable expectation of privacy?
Sir, that is not my jurisdiction.
You're a U.S. citizen.
Statement one way or the other.
And if you're signing up on healthcare.gov, your personal information could be accessed by complete strangers. It happened to this woman. She called customer service when she forgot her password. That's when the representative told her 3 different people were given access to her account, her address, and her social security number. What's worse, she was told it would take up to 5 days to get her personal information offline.
Problem with this whole debate is y'all won't tell us who made the decisions.
I can tell you I did not design the site. The
each piece of that code has been tested. Yes or no?
I don't know.
Okay,
but I can tell you that security
testing, that's a much safer answer, trust me,
is an ongoing.
Amazon would never do this. Pro Flowers would never do this. Kayak would never do this.
The purpose of Battleground Texas, in simple terms, is to turn Texas blue, because these people think that Texas is a non-voting state. So if they just sign a lot of people up to vote, it'll turn into a Democratic state. They're using Enroll America and Obamacare as a mechanism to turn Texas into a blue state.
Bumping up Medicaid eligibility from 100% of poverty line to 133% of poverty line so that some working poor people can get some health insurance. What is the objection to that? Why does every conservative Republican governor oppose that? Explain that to me.
Ooh, number one, not true. Plenty of Republican governors, including Tom Corbett in Pennsylvania, including the Ohio governor. There are Republican governors that have expanded Medicaid.
And they are getting killed.
Please,
wait a second. Do you like that? Do you
spare me,
Jennifer?
Spare me that this is a Democrat-Republican thing.
No. Democratic senator says Obamacare could have meltdown, hurt party. Well, why? The Republican leadership, Boehner, only wants to delay it for a year like Obama. The Republican leadership helped write it. Karl Rove. Mitt Romney, they're the same ones trying to shut down libertarian takeover of the Republican Party after Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. I mean, what's wrong, Democrats? I mean, you're all part of the club. Don't you want to hurt your constituents some more?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, you were before the committee in April of last year. You assured us all there would be absolutely no more delays in the Affordable Care Act. We've seen 8 delays since you gave us those assurances, bringing the total now to 35. So the question is, I think fairly for our families at home, what other delays should they expect?
Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius is resigning.
The majority leader said the bill scores as reducing the deficit $131 billion over the next 10 years. First, a little bit about CBO. I work with them every single day. Very good people, great professionals. They do their jobs well, but their job is to score what is placed in front of them. And what has been placed in front of them is a bill that is full of gimmicks and smoke and mirrors. Now, what do I mean when I say that? Well, first off, the bill has 10 years of tax increases, about $500 billion, with 10 years of Medicare cuts, about $500 billion, to pay for 6 years of spending. Now, what's the true 10-year cost of this bill? In 10 years, that's $2.3 trillion. It does a couple of other things. It takes $52 billion in higher Social Security tax revenues and counts them as offsets, but that's really reserved for Social Security. So either we're double counting them or we don't intend on paying those Social Security benefits. It takes $72 billion in claims money from the Class Act. That's the long-term care insurance program. It takes the money from premiums that are designed for that benefit and instead counts them as offsets. The Senate Budget Committee chairman said that this is a Ponzi scheme that would make Bernie Madoff proud. Now, when you take a look at the Medicare cuts, what this bill essentially does, it treats Medicare like a piggy bank. It raids $500 billion out of Medicare, not to shore up Medicare's solvency, but to spend on this new government program. Now, when you take a look at what this does is, according to the chief actuary of Medicare, he's saying as much as 20% of Medicare's providers will either go out of business or will have to stop seeing Medicare beneficiaries. Millions of seniors who have chosen Medicare Advantage will lose the coverage that they now enjoy. You can't say that you're using this money to either extend Medicare solvency and also offset the cost of this new program. That's double counting.
First, no matter what you've heard, if you like your doctor or health care plan, you can keep it. If you don't have insurance, you'll finally be able to afford insurance. And everyone will have the security and stability that's missing today. And that means that no matter how we reform health care, we will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period.
But for the average person, many of folks who don't have health insurance initially, they're going to have to make some choices, and they might end up having to switch doctors, in part because they're saving money.
So if you have something and you like it and it doesn't meet what the government says you have to have, you cannot keep it. And that's not what you said
If
here.
you had your plan before the enactment of the law in 2010.
The president, as you know, many times said some variation of this. We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. Is that promise still operative?
If you are looking for, if you want coverage from your doctor, a doctor that you've seen in the past and want that, you can look and see if there is a plan in which that doctor participates. And that reflects the way that the private insurance system has long worked.
So is this another promise where he needs to kind of modify? Because that's not what he said. He said if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, period.
So a plan that might look cheaper on the exchange but doesn't include your network could end up costing you more.
Of course they're distressed, and they don't enjoy the fact that they don't have freedom of choice any longer. It's very, very confusing to them. It's very distressful. They don't know where to turn. They still will call us and ask for help.
People who knew the law as it was being written knew the president wasn't telling the truth. The grandfather provision written into the law itself was too narrow, and frankly, they wrote a regulation intentionally trying to get people out of the individual market. Look, they want the people to go into the exchanges because there's a lot of people in the individual market. The whole point of the exchanges is to close down the individual insurance market over time.
The insurance company,
they
wait a
wanted
second.
to move millions of people into the exchanges.
Insurance companies
Insurance
companies don't like the individual market as it's constructed. They see the future. That individual market is going away. They don't want to invest in it.
But that's not
why
what the president said.
Let me finish.
Let
me switch.
You note the irony that the president is seeking to delay his signature piece of legislation. What else has he accomplished since he's been president? Except Obamacare. That's what he put all of his marbles on Obamacare, and now he wants to delay it. If you need any more evidence how disastrous this health care law is, the architect doesn't even want to implement it.
On average, rates will increase 14.5% for Blue Cross Blue Shield plans and 11.9% for Wellmark health plans. In its filing, Wellmark cites new requirements under the Affordable Care Act as one reason for the increases. People are starting to get their estimates back from Obamacare, and they're seeing that, of course, their insurance rates are doubling. That's just for starters. That's just the beginning. They're going to continue to go up from there. You think they're going to go down on your insurance rates? They never go down on insurance rates. But, of course, it's there to help the poor. But we found out yesterday that they're actually looking at credit scores. Now, today we've got some interesting walk back on that. That was a lead navigator that came up with that story. Today she's trying to walk that back. We're going to take a look at that in the next segment.
But the question is, if they're going to look at credit scores, and that's going to be a basis, what she said yesterday, we're going to go with what she said yesterday, because she was one of the lead navigators, or the lead navigator in Florida. After she talked at some length with reporters about that, she came back the next day and tried to walk that back. I think the real true story is what she really came out with at the beginning. And what she said was that the insurance provider could look at your credit score and decide if they don't want you in their health insurance plan, that the insurance company is going to make that call. And see, the insurance companies are not allowed to exclude somebody because they've got a pre-existing condition. But do you think that maybe if somebody's had cancer or a major illness, let's say open heart surgery, whatever, as expensive as that is, as expensive as it is even with your deductible, do you think that they might have a credit problem?
Big news today from the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices announcing they will review another controversial part of Obamacare. It involves tax credit subsidies for policies bought through Obamacare health exchanges.
What this case is about is whether the people in those 34 states can get subsidies for their health insurance. And already, something like 4 million people have already gotten subsidies for their health insurance. So the question is, will those 4 million people or so keep their health insurance if the Obama administration loses this case?
Again, this will work its way through the legal process. We continue to have high confidence in the legal argument, both from a legal perspective but also from a common sense perspective. The fact of the matter is, the assistance that millions of Americans have received in paying for their health care premiums has meant that millions of Americans, in some cases for the very first time, have access to quality, affordable health insurance.
This case that the Supreme Court has just taken is really pretty funny. It's about Obamacare. And when the Obamacare said that you only got the subsidies if your exchange was set up by the state. The words are very clear. They're not equivocal at all. And they want people to, but most of the states didn't sign up for it. And so the people want to get the subsidies anyway. And they're trying to get the Supreme Court to rewrite the legislation. Now, our Constitution says all legislative powers in the Congress. It's very clear. There's nothing equivocal about it. And the Supreme Court is going to take that case, and the question is, are they going to stick to the way it was written, or are they going to rewrite it?
That the interesting thing about the bill, all 2,000 pages of it, it's a gigantic blank check. What it actually says in writing, that you can come back and hold their feet to the fire like you do the Constitution or other laws, there's nothing specific in it. What it does, it says these decisions will be made later by the Secretary of Health and Human Services. That's all through the document. Well, who would enact a bill that's a blank check that says all these things, the design, the effects, the punishment, the cost, it's all going to be determined later? Well, only a fool would do such a thing, and of course Congress acts like a gigantic fool.
This thing's already happened, and their only impact is that their insurance is stronger, better, more secure than it was before. Full stop. That's it. They don't have to worry about anything else.
If you make $20,000 a year, you can't afford almost $2,000 for your health insurance. Now, why is this happening? Because of all the things that are being covered here. If you cover pre-existing conditions, if you cover people up to the age of 26, if you cover all this preventive services, premiums go up. Employers not going to want to pay those premiums. They're going to pass on as much as possible to the employee.
Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass.
You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. DNA Force from InfoWars Life.